The Hadley Learning Community is a £60 million PFI development in Telford, Shropshire. An extended school with integrated primary and secondary phases. It's a cutting-edge facility designed to be the school of tomorrow, today. To make way for the HLC, two primary schools on the site are going to be demolished. Hadley Infants was built in the 1950s and it's simply worn out. It's been home to 100 youngsters who will now move to the HLC. Hadley Juniors is closing and its 130 pupils are also transferring to the new school. And the nearby Alton Park Secondary School is closing down. It opened in 1940, but with shifts in Telford's population and with its inadequate buildings becoming increasingly run down, it had to go.
You're really making history. You know what I think about this school. I wouldn't have worked here so long if I didn't not just think, but know that it's the best school in Telford.
So there's an era coming to an end, and it's a poignant time for those whose careers have been spent at the closing schools.
We are constantly being told that this new school is going to be a better school. And so that the implication from that is that our school isn't as good as their school. So that is an issue.
I haven't wanted to sort of dictate at all where I feel their school should be going next year.
The HLC will not simply replace the two existing primary schools like for like. Cross-phase learning is going to be key and a new primary phase will be created. The new principal has had to manage the process carefully.
It isn't just about starting a new school, it's about taking two existing schools, the infants and the juniors, and making it a single primary school. So that's had its challenges, and I think those challenges are still going to be there over the next academic year.
It's July 2005, 14 months before the HLC opens. Jill Eatough meets with Mike Jones, head of Hadley Junior School. He decided not to apply for the job of head of primary at the HLC, and he's retiring after 15 years at the school. He's in charge for a difficult year, unsettled staff to manage, and a final set of SAT scores to deliver.
The children deserve to have the best education that we can provide right up until the last moment. That's got all sorts of challenges in terms of staffing, some of whom will be going into the new school, some of whom won't be. So there'll be tensions in the school with regards to that. The same with some of the children. Some of the children will be going into the new school, some of the children won't be going to the new school. Which teaching assistants will be going into the new school. There are also challenges in terms of the finances and making sure that there's enough money. Because the school has to close, I have to work to a surplus, but obviously I'm going to try and work to the smallest surplus that I can. That makes it very difficult in terms of margins for error.
Jill must tread carefully because she's not in charge of Hadley Juniors nor Hadley Infants yet. There are two head teachers to deal with for another 12 months.
They are heads of their own schools, and I'm head of my school, and one has particular views and ownership of your own school, and I haven't wanted to sort of dictate at all where I feel their school should be going next year, but at the same time gently influencing issues to do with staff training, the way in which we're going to work with the children, and to generally help move it in the direction prior to opening.
How's it going with the order of the digital cameras?
Unlike Mike Jones, acting head of Hadley Infants Kate Whitaker is joining the HLC team. She'll be assistant vice principal with a key responsibility for the foundation stage, and for her, the closure is a new start.
My vision is that it's going to be better. The children will be the same, the team will be more or less the same, and so the future is going to be better than this old crumbling building.
Hi, Jill.
Kate's been forward planning with Jill Eatough to ensure a smooth transition for pupils and staff. Just one of the issues she's had to deal with is the union's attitude to the training of teaching assistants.
Unison have said that they've got to be doing it all week or paid for it all week.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's a couple of people who are thinking, well, do I want to do it if I have to do it all week? Because we're paying on a variation at the moment. So,
and quite honestly, I think we've got to have those discussions with individual members of staff. I mean, Unison have got where they want us to be, but I'm not sure that we need to be there on day one.
yeah.
And I think we need people to grow into their jobs and not feel we're throwing them in at the deep end, particularly with the support staff.
It's the Wrekin Run, Alton Park Secondary School's annual charity cross-country. It's the last time this race will ever be held, just 6 weeks before the school closes.
This is just absolutely amazing. 28 years of tradition, final Wrekin Run today, and just look at these people that have come back. We've got people that have come back who did the original run in 1978, we've got ex-staff, we've got a guy who came to this school in the 1940s. We must have about 400 people taking part today. It's just going to be amazing.
Former world champion boxer Richie Woodall gets them off.
Okay guys, get ready. Let's count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Among the field is Alton Park's acting head Dave Bowyer. He's feeling the strain.
It wasn't me swearing. It's all right.
An hour later, Dave sprints home for the last time.
Wonderful.
Spring term 2006, the secondary school's building programme is on schedule. Soft landscaping is underway. Trees will provide shade in the forum, which will be used as an outdoor classroom. And planting next to the railway lines will help keep the noise down.
It was just sort of like evaporated.
Ahead of the school closures, Jill Etuff and her leadership team work hard to communicate the HLC vision and to win the trust of staff.
Recycling going on. There is where we're going to be on year one in terms of the curriculum and where we're going to be on year two. Not everything, I am realistic, is going to be in place in the way we want it for September. But what we have to do is look at where the key areas are and make sure we get those right.
Meetings are held throughout the spring term to outline policy and to field questions.
Right, questions. Uniform and children. Yes, we're having both. Will it be possible to carry forward to the new school money in existing budgets? If not, what date does it need to be spent by? We'll let you know. You see where people are coming from?
The LEA's closure policy led to a rather muted atmosphere at the closing schools, so keeping staff on side was important.
It could have been very different. But once the staff of all the schools that were closing understood why it looked as it looked and what opportunities would be available for them, the vast majority of staff were excited by it. A little bit worried, of course, because this was a new model, but to have the opportunity to work in a school like Hadley is a real inspiration to staff. So it's been very good.
Good as it might be for those who got jobs at the HLC, there is still a final year to teach. Students have GCSEs to sit, SATS targets have to be met, so the leadership want to avoid staff taking their foot off the pedal.
If we're not careful, some staff might become complacent. They might think, well, I've got a job now, my real job starts next year, that's but we can't think that. And equally, there's some staff who might be thinking, well, what's the point? I haven't got a job next year, what's the point?
Staff morale at Hadley Juniors, where very few teachers got jobs at the HLC, is a more acute issue for Mike Jones to deal with.
I think they see me as a person who, who's retiring, has the package, is okay. And they're not. And that is difficult.
And Mike has sometimes found it hard to keep himself motivated as the end of his career approaches.
I thought, oh, I'll be fine, I'll be going full tilt right until the last day. But as soon as you start thinking about what you're going to be doing afterwards, when you finish, that impinges. It certainly has in my case, impinges on the job that I'm doing now.
Reflecting on a long career, Mike doesn't want the new school to overshadow what's been achieved at Hadley Juniors.
I've invested a lot of my life in this school, along with my colleagues, and we have built a good school. And we are constantly being told that this new school is going to be a better school. And so that the implication from that is that our school isn't as good as their school. So that is an issue, and I think that's an issue that you have to try and come to terms with. That it's not going to be perhaps a better school; it's going to be a different school.
But Jill Eatough has issues with the school's performance. At the heart of her vision for the HLC is a good transition between key stages 2 and 3. For her, Hadley Junior's results haven't been good enough.
The only way that we can improve standards of attainment and the performance of students in the secondary, in Key Stage 3 and 4, is that they've got to be ready at the end of Key Stage 2, and they've got to be, their literacy levels, their numeracy levels, all those things have got to be where they should be, and that was not the case. And it will be an issue for us in the early years of the secondary because the students we're taking into Year 7 in September have underperformed. It makes me quite angry, really, because I actually feel those children have had a pretty poor deal.
The new leaders of the HLC's primary phase can focus on the future. Improving standards is a key part of their agenda. But for the first term, they'll still be using the old infant and junior school buildings, as the primary won't open until January 2007.
We'll be working as a team from both sites.
So we may split up some days and do things in different sites, but we don't want to base either of us in any one place.
But I want to bring the two sites together. We want to meet for assemblies, we want to perhaps mix up for playtimes, but then there's security issues around that because the sites are more open, but going to be a busy term.
It's the last day of the last term at Alton Park, and understandably, emotions are running high in the final assembly.
You are such a special bunch of people, and I'm so proud to have worked with you and some of your parents for the last 30 years.
I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean.
The clear out started.
One door closes, I hope one more opens.
A few unused things here, like bibs and badminton rackets and some balls that we haven't used and bats and things like that.
I hope you die.
Important paperwork to keep.
And the SEN files we've got to keep for perhaps over 20 years. They've been sorted, we've just got to box them up.
We've got boxes that are labelled up to be opened first, which basically contain the first week's practical work ready and sorted, so it's just a matter of pulling it out and getting on with it.
It's a bittersweet kind of day.
Today is about Alton Park and about the pupils who are here, about the history, about celebrating their time at Alton Park, and we're going to make it a day that they will never forget, I hope.
3 cheers to Alton Park. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
It's a poignant day for Mike Jones too.
Well, it's sad, isn't it? It's a sad time, really. But it's not for them. They're thinking about the future, they're thinking about their new school. It's all about the next minute, the next hour, not next year.
A lorry load of memories for some, for others it's a new start. In 6 weeks' time, the HLC opens.